again. Are you ready for Grandma's story time? You know the book that we're reading, Adventures of the Wishing Chair by Enid Blyton. So much has been happening. Put on your glasses, Grandma. Chinky, Peter and Mollie just made it out of the enchanter Clip-Clap's castle and they're back home. Are you ready for the next adventure? This one is called Big-Ears the Goblin. One day, when Mollie and Peter were playing with Chinky in the playroom, they heard footsteps running down the garden. "Quick, hide, Chinky! Someone's coming!" cried Mollie. The pixie always hid when anyone was about. He ran to a cupboard and got inside. Peter shut the door just as Mother came into the playroom. "Children," she said, "I've lost my ring. I must have dropped it in the garden somewhere. Please look for it. See if you can find it." Peter and Mollie were upset. They knew that Mother was very fond of her best ring. It was a very pretty one, set with diamonds and rubies. They ran out into the garden and began to hunt. But no matter where they looked, they couldn't find the ring. "Let's go and ask Chinky to help," said Mollie. So they ran back to the playroom. Chinky was sitting reading. They told him how they had hunted for the ring. "I'll soon find out if it's in the garden," he said, shutting his book. "Is your mother certain she dropped it there?" "Quite certain," said Peter. "How are you going to find out where it is, Chinky?" "You'll see in a minute," said the pixie with a grin. And he went to the door of the playroom and looked around. There was no one about. He whistled softly a strange little twittering tune. A freckled thrush, that's a bird, flew down to his hand and stood there on his outstretched fingers. Freckles gave a chirp and flew off. In a few minutes, all the birds in the garden were gathered together in the thick lilac bush. Mollie and Peter could hear the thrush singing away just as if it was telling a story in a song. They knew he must be telling the birds what to do. In a few seconds, every sparrow, starling, thrush, blackbird, robin and finch was hopping about on the ground, under bushes, in the beds, under the hedges, over the grass. They pecked here and there, and they turned over every leaf, and they hunted for that ring as neither Mollie or Peter could never have hunted like that. At last Freckles the thrush came back. He flew down onto Chinky's shoulder and chirped a long and pretty song into his ear. Then he flew off. "What does he say?" said Mollie. "He says that your mother's ring is nowhere here at all," said Chinky. "She can't have dropped it in the garden." "But she knows she did," said Mollie. "Well, someone must have found it already then," said Chinky. "I wonder if any goblin was about last night. They are not honest if they find a beautiful jewel. Wait, I'll find out." He went to the lawn near the playroom. It was well hidden from the house, so he could not be seen. He drew a ring on the grass with the blue chalk. "Keep away from this ring," he said to the watching children. "When I say the goblin spell, you'll see blue flames and smoke coming up from the ring if goblins have been this way during the last few hours. Don't go too near. If nothing happens, we shall know that no goblins have been this way." Mollie and Peter watched while Chinky danced slowly around the ring, chanting a string of curious, magic-sounding words. "Look, look, smoke is coming and blue flames!" shrieked Mollie, excited. "Oh, Chinky, don't go too near." Sure enough, as they watched, the ring began to smoke as if it was on fire, and small blue flames flickered all around. Chinky stopped singing. He threw a pinch of dust over the ring. Smoke, flames and short ring vanished as if they'd never been there before. "Yes," said Chinky, "a goblin has been here all right. When a blue short ring flames like that, it's a sure sign of goblins. I wonder which one it was. I'll just go and ask the fairies at the bottom of the garden. They'll know." He ran off. The children didn't follow, for they knew that Chinky didn't like them to see the fairies, who were very shy. He came back running fast, his face red with excitement. "Yes, the fairies saw Big-Ears the Goblin pass by here last night, so he must have found the ring and taken it. They said he seemed very pleased about something." "Oh dear, how can we get it back for Mother?" Mollie asked in despair. "We'll get it back all right, don't worry," said Chinky. "As soon as the wishing chair grows its wings again, we'll go off to old Big-Ears. He'll soon give it back. He's an old coward." "Good," said the children in delight. "Oh, won't it be fun to have an adventure again? Where does Big-Ears live?" "Not very far away," said Chinky. "In Goblin Town. Listen, there's your dinner bell. You go into dinner and I'll see if I can get the wishing chair to grow its wings again. Sometimes a little singing helps it." The children ran indoors, bubbling with excitement. What fun if the chair grew its wings that afternoon. After dinner, they went back to their playroom. Chinky met them at the door with a grin. "The chair's grown its wings," he said. "It's in a great hurry to get away, so come on." Peter and Mollie ran into the playroom. The wishing chair certainly seemed in a great hurry to go. Its wings were flapping merrily and it was giving little hops about on the floor. "It thinks it's a bird or something," said Chinky, grinning. "It'll twitter soon." The children sat down on the seat. Chinky climbed onto the back. "To Goblin Town!" he cried. The chair rose into the air and flew out of the door with such a rush that the children were nearly thrown out of their seats. "Steady, steady, chair," said Chinky. "There's not such a dreadful hurry, you know." The chair flew so high in the air that the children were above the clouds and could see nothing below them but the rolling white mist, like a great dazzling snowfield. "Where are we now?" said Mollie, peering down. "Are we getting near Goblin Town?" "We must be," said Chinky, "but we shan't know till the chair dives down through the clouds again. Ah, here we go." Down went the chair through the cold white clouds. The children looked to see if Goblin Town was below. "Look at those funny little houses, all crooked," cried Mollie in delight. "And look at the goblins. Oh, it's a market or something." The chair flew down to a busy marketplace. The goblins crowded around in surprise. "Good afternoon," said Chinky, getting down from the back of the chair. "Can you please tell me where Big-Ears lives?"
"He lives in the yellow cottage at the foot of the hill,"
said a little green goblin, pointing. The children carried the chair down the hill, for it had stopped flapping its wings and seemed tired. They came to a yellow cottage, and Chinky knocked loudly. The door opened. There stood a goblin with yellow eyes and great big pointed ears that stuck above the top of his head. "Good morning, Big-Ears," said Chinky. "We have come for the ring that you picked up from the garden the other night."
What ring?
stammered the goblin, pale with fright.
I didn't see a ring.
Oh, yes, you did, said Chinky firmly. And if you don't give it back to me at once, I'll turn you into a wiggling worm.
No,
cried Big-Ears, falling to his knees.
don't do that. Yes, I did take the ring, but I've given it to the Snuggle, who lives in the castle over there.
Off to the Snuggle then, shouted Chinky, and he jumped into the wishing chair. The children followed, and up went the chair into the air. They were off to the Snuggle, whatever that might be. And you knew that would be the end of the chapter, didn't you? Come back. We have to go and find out what is a Snuggle. Bye-bye.